One of the things I do for you guys. Thanks for joining me again on another one of these videos. So I've got a made in France Jouef model, which is quite old. I'm just asking for problems with this one, but it looked really quite cool. So let's have a look at this close up and we'll see what we've got. So this is a French BB Class Electric Locomotive. It's one of many that the SNCF produced, which has really got this French design off to a T. It really looks quite stylish, even though it's quite a boxy machine. This model does look a little bit small, and I'm not sure if it's a bit under scale, but it's certainly got a lot of extras added onto it. The colour here is light grey with this orange lining and decoration on it. These have been applied as transfers. Previously, Jouef would have painted these with some masking, and often the masking was a bit fuzzy around the edges and it wasn't that good. So they've bypassed that by having transfers here, and they look not too bad overall. The lettering on the front, the BB 17029, isn't that clear, and neither is the SNCF logo. We've got a lot of extra parts added onto this model, including these jumper cables here. We've got horns on the roof. We've got these parts here. I'm not actually quite sure what they are. Maybe they're some kind of handrails to get up onto the roof. We've even got handrails here on the side of the door, and they're made of plastic, so very easily broken. The chassis is obviously made in grey, and you can see the buffers here are part of the chassis. They just stick through the front here. Very clear glazing, but there's no interior, not flush fit though. And we do have windscreen wipers moulded in there. On the side of this locomotive, this one's a bit grubby. It is a second-hand model that I got, but the number BB 17029 is quite clear there. But we do have a bit of a problem with the transfer here. It looks as though it's bubbled a little bit. We have a darker grey panel on these grills up here, but the grills themselves are really quite nicely moulded into the main piece of plastic. Down the other end, we've got the SNCF logo. Not quite central on that little panel, again with the handrails. Looks as though we're missing something on the corner here. I'm not sure whether that's meant to be a hole with something in it. We certainly on the ends also have little holes there. It could be indicative of this model, but it does look as though it's missing something. Up on the roof we have some checkerboard moulded into the main piece of plastic, and we have these pantographs which are spring loaded and don't work too well, but they still operate, that's good. And it's a combination of plastic and metal here, so it won't be able to pick up from overhead electrics, that's for sure. It also has this plastic part here, like the conductor cable. It is actually broken on this one, so it's not the strongest piece of plastic. And it does look as though we should have something on this point here, and also over here, which is missing. Down below we have two different types of bogies. We've got this one here with a lot of detail moulded into it, and then the other one at the other end, which has got less detail. Not very deep relief on these at all, and the brake gear isn't in line with the wheels or anything like that. The wheels are very close together, and you can see the typical kind of Jouef pickup on these two axles here, and the drive very crude on this axle. And it also has the motor attached to this bogie. You can see the Jouef made in France in the middle, and a simple screw to take this apart. So I think we should just take it apart just now and have a look at the mechanism. So that was a bit scary getting that apart. I didn't want to break this. It's very brittle, this chassis, and it's made of plastic. We do indeed have lighting at both ends, and the motor is angled really strangely into the bogie. I've never seen that happen before in anything other than a steam locomotive, so it's quite interesting that Jouef have decided to do that. And the plastic worm gear is underneath the bogie there, driving this back axle, and then you can see a little metal gear there driving the front axle. Traction tyres on all these wheels, and the pickup happens at this end. Nothing of interest really on the inside of this body shell. You can see the window glazing and the clear plastic there for the lighting. So just looking at this bogie, it does look as though it's a little bit dirty on the pickups, and that's always the Achilles heel on these Jouef models. So I'm just going to give them a bit of a clean before we give this a go. So fingers crossed, we've got it on the test track here, and as normal this is just some Hornby third radius track that I've got, and I'm using my H&M controller to provide it with 12 volts DC. So let's give it some juice, see what happens. Well, I am really surprised about that. This actually runs absolutely perfectly, and I didn't even give it that much of a clean, and I didn't even bother oiling it either. I'm really impressed with this model from Jouef. It's so different to what I expect from Jouef, and that is that they just don't run at all, or if they do, it's just terrible. But this one seems to be quite incredibly good. It does look as though one of the bulbs has blown at one end of the locomotive, but the other end it lights up as well, and it seems to be directional too. So I'm quite impressed. Let's just pop this on the scales and we'll see how much it weighs. So this model comes in at 215 grams. So this old Jouef model of the BB electric locomotive from the French SNCF railways, I am really quite surprised about this model. I had really low expectations from Jouef, and especially when it came to its performance. It seemed to run really good though, this one. And also it's got a load of little extra parts added onto this model, and the body shell itself looks pretty good too. There's some clear limitations here. I think the plastics could be a little bit brittle, the pantographs aren't really that good, and the bogies are actually pretty poor. But it's got a real charm to this locomotive, and that's certainly in large doses because of the prototype that this model is based on. This colour scheme actually looks pretty good as well, I think. This one is really grubby, it's quite old and dirty, and it's obviously been really well used, but hopefully it should clean up pretty good. And it seems to be running pretty good as well, so it should do sterling work on a model railway. So this has been a really surprising Jouef model, and very interesting for me to have a look at today. I hope you have also enjoyed looking at this. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this locomotive, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps this channel. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around, and in a moment another video will appear. Just click on that and I'll see you there. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. See ya.